In today's video, I'm going to take you through the entire Rawlings baseball glove catalog. If you have questions about different Rawlings glove models, you're unsure which one you want to get or which one you should buy for your kid, I'm going to take you through all these different models in this video. All right, so I want to disclose this is a partner video between myself and JustGloves.com. They sent me all these Rawlings baseball gloves for me to walk you through and help you figure out what's best for you and your kid in your buying decision, or you personally at your middle school or high school or college season, or if you're a dad and you want a dad glove, or if you're playing adult men's league baseball or women's baseball and you want to grab a new glove. I want to help you demystify this honestly kind of overwhelming line of gloves that Rawlings makes. So with my partnership with Just Gloves, we don't care which glove you buy. We just want you to find the right one for you, all right? I'll talk you through the pros and cons of each one, different price points, durability, what you get for the money, all that good stuff in this video. All right, so this is the Rawlings RSB, and this retails for about $50 or $60 depending. And this glove is almost entirely made of synthetic materials. The laces are synthetic, the back of the fingers is synthetic, the inside is synthetic. The palm, this is all real leather. I think it's pigskin leather. Sometimes these glove descriptions are not very good where they don't tell you exactly what kind of leather it is. But to me, it looks like pigskin. Pigskin is just a softer leather. You see it a lot on kids' gloves because it's easier to break in and easier to squeeze. There's nothing wrong with pigskin. It's just a lower quality leather than like steer hide is. So here's the thing with the Rawlings RSB. This is going to be the right glove for someone who they got invited to play on a rec softball team, or this is your first glove and you're not sure if you're going to like baseball. This can be totally fine, even though it's lower quality materials. This will not last all that long because just thinner materials, lower quality materials, synthetic laces, the durability is going to be low, but the price point is low. So this is the right glove for someone who they're just testing out baseball or softball. I just need a glove to play in my rec league or my church league, whatever it is, and we'll see how it goes. And if that year goes pretty well, I'll buy a better glove. It will be harder to catch balls in this. You can certainly, I could take this and take fly balls and ground balls right now, and I'd be okay. But on some of the running ones where you're reaching, the palm is not going to be as well shaped. More balls will fall out of this glove than a higher quality glove. That's kind of part of also what you get what you pay for. You don't get the deeper pocket, the better molding, the way it closes. Some of those things you're not going to get much shape out of a less expensive glove. But like I said, there's a right glove for everyone. And if you're just starting out, don't overspend. You could always get a used glove, but this is probably going to be the right one for someone who just needs to grab something off the rack and go play in their rec league. All right, Rawlings Pro-Lite series. These are marketed to youth baseball players. These have a leather shell, but there's a lot of synthetic materials inside. They have real leather laces. The leather has a more of a plasticky coated feel. Again, it is real leather on the back of the fingers, on the the web and the shell. But in general, it's lower quality leather. And even though the laces are leather, they're not quite as thick. They're not bad, but they're not quite as thick. This glove retails for about $70, and the hand stall is made for a kid's hand. This is really small. I can't get my hand into this one. So if you're an adult with larger hands, I would not recommend the Pro-Lite. This is really going to be more for a youth glove, or if you're a female softball or baseball player and you want something that's going to be smaller for your hand, this could probably work okay. But for me, I have reasonably big hands and my hand does not fit in this glove. But the Rawlings Pro-Lite is going to be a pretty decent youth glove, especially if they're just starting out. It's got a decent shape. It looks sharp. These come in a bunch of different colors. So if your budget is around 60, 70, 80 bucks, the Pro-Lite's a pretty decent glove for the money. Yeah, as you spend more, you're going to get more. But this is absolutely a pretty decent youth baseball glove. It'll probably last a year or two. And then as they start to play a little bit higher level baseball with higher pitch speeds, this is probably going to start to break down a little bit. You'll start to lose some laces. But overall, the Pro-Lite is a pretty decent youth glove. And for the price point, it looks really sharp and it's definitely going to do the job. All right, Rawlings Sandlot series. So these retail for about $100. And you're getting a big step up from the $50, $60, $70 gloves with the Sandlot series. This looks like a very real, legitimate baseball glove, right? This is an attractive glove. Like you can get $300 gloves that look very similar to this. It's like rich, oily leather, the camel colored laces. The whole series is in this sort of colorway. It's a really attractive glove. And it's all leather all on the outside, right? On the inside, you've got synthetic materials. So the palm lining is synthetic. There's like a soft liner on the inside of the fingers. That's not a big deal, but that's where you're going to lose some of the quality as far as at the $100 price point, right? You're going to get more synthetic materials on the inside, but it's all pretty good leather on the outside. So who is this glove for? This is a really solid youth glove, number one. The hand stall is big enough where I can fit my hand in this. So if you're a dad and you're looking for an attractive dad glove, that will absolutely do the job for a couple years. You want it to look legitimate. Like, you don't want to look like you have a silly kid's glove or some junky glove. This is a wonderful dad glove for that. And it's also going to fit youth players really well. And if you're going out to your co-ed softball league or your men's, adult league baseball league, and you haven't bought a glove in a long time and you want something that's inexpensive because you're not sure if you're going to stick with it, this is a pretty good glove for $100, and none of your teammates are going to be like, oh, look at that nerd with that kid's glove, right? As you break it in, it'll break in pretty fast. It's relatively soft. Like, I can squeeze it just like this. You could play with this pretty quickly, spend a little bit of time, play catch with it once or twice, and it'll be game ready. So overall, the Rawlings Sandlot series is a really solid mint for the money, about $100, really attractive. I think they've just done a really good job giving you a big league look for about $100. All right, Rawlings Gamer series. So I've got two different ones here. We'll talk about the Gamer XLE, which has the speed shell, which is this synthetic back, and the Rawlings Gamer Contour, which is the youth glove series, which has a specially smaller hand stall for youth players. This is really well built for young players. So let's talk about the Gamer Contour first. These are a little more expensive. They're about $150, but they are really high quality youth gloves. They are made down to like 9.5 inches or 10 inches. This is a 10.5. And you can tell this is a very legit looking glove. The leather is really thick. It's good high quality. It's not super, it will take a little bit of break in, especially for like an 8-year-old. So parents, you'll have to help a little bit as they get this broken in, but the laces are really thick. They're super high quality laces. The inside is a leather palm with a palm pad. Now, there's soft synthetic material on the inside of the finger stalls, but overall, almost all this glove is all leather. It's good leather, and it's just a really attractive glove that's built for the smaller hands of youth baseball players. If you have $150 in your budget, which that's not cheap for a youth glove, I mean, it's not, this is a really high quality glove that will last your kid probably 3 or 4 years until they're just ready for a bigger one, right? So don't shy away from the Rawlings Gamer series. These contour gloves are really, really good for youth players. Now, the Gamer XLE is a bigger glove, right? This is not necessarily made for kids, but it does still have the smaller hand stall and the finger shape where it's going to fit a youth player's hand really well. The biggest thing between the Gamer and the Gamer XLE is the Gamer XLE has this speed shell, which means it's got this attractive synthetic material on the back that just makes the glove lighter. And when you pick this up, this is a light glove for an 11.5-inch glove. It's also just a pretty cool looking, attractive glove. Like, when I was 12, I would have loved this glove. So it's got really thick laces. It's got good quality leather. It's very similar to the Rawlings R9 series, just with like the speed shell backing. So overall, if you're unsure, what is a Gamer XLE? Smaller hand stall, really well fit for youth players, very good quality leather, a little bit lighter because of the speed shell, the synthetic backing, which again is not a cheap material. It's a high quality, weight reducing material, really good laces, and overall really good build quality. So I'm impressed by the Gamer XLE. This is absolutely a solid glove for a serious youth player, or if you're a dad, or if you're getting back out there to go play some, adult league baseball. This is a really solid glove to play catch with your kid in the backyard, and it'll last you many years to come. All right, Rawlings R9. So the R9 series, Rawlings has done a really good job with this series of gloves, in my opinion. They are very good quality leather. They're softer, so they're not like a heart of the hide, which we'll get to, but they are very high quality leather gloves. They have a little bit of synthetic material inside the finger stalls, again, which is comfortable. It's sweat wicking material, but the entire glove is leather, really thick laces, really high quality, and the shaping of the R9s are a little bit better than some of the less expensive gloves like the Sandlot series. So this one, to me, it fits and it closes and it breaks in very similar to like a heart of the hide or another high quality glove. And this is a very similar glove to the NXT series, which we'll talk about next. But the R9s are a wonderful glove for serious youth players. They're wonderful gloves for parents who want a decent glove that will last 5+ years to play catch with their kid in the backyard. And they're just attractive and they look the part. Like, this glove is Columbia blue, obviously, but it's a legit looking glove. It feels good on my hand. And this is absolutely something I could take out and do a game and, play adult men's league baseball with, and that'd be totally fine. So the R9 series, they make them in lots of different sizes, shapes, colorways. Rawlings has done a really good job making a very high quality glove for the more casual player who's not ready, doesn't want to spend $250, $350 on a heart of the hide or Rev 1X or Pro Preferred glove. The R9s are really excellent. All right, Rawlings NXT series baseball gloves. This is a relatively new series from Rawlings, and this, as they describe it, is to bridge the gap between the R9 and the Heart of the Hide series, which Heart of the Hides are $320. These NXTs retail for about 170, 180, and you can find a great deal when they're on sale for like 120. But I'm really impressed by the NXTs. Hey, this is a really attractive glove. Like, they make these, this looks like, if you didn't know, if I was just holding this glove in my hand, you would probably assume it's a heart of the hide or any like an A2000, like any really high quality glove, because it just looks really sharp. The leather is thick. It's very high quality leather. It's not super stiff, so this will break in pretty fast, which is what kids want pretty much these days. But this is a very durable, high quality glove for 180 bucks, 170 bucks. This one has the sort of speed shell fingers, which is like this carbon fiber looking synthetic material. Just makes it look cool, reduces the weight a little bit. I don't have kids, but if I was a baseball dad looking to outfit my 12 or 13-year-old with a really good glove that'll last a bunch of years for them, this would be the one I would get them. If they wanted to do chores and get a heart of the hide, fine. But this is what Dan would spend on his kid right now. I think the NXT is an excellent glove, and they basically made this for serious travel players. And I think they've done a really good job with that because I'll be honest, a 13-year-old doesn't need a $300 glove. Will a $300 glove, a heart of the hide, last a long time? Absolutely. It's a really good quality glove. But this is plenty for a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid. And it doesn't look like a joke. They're not going to get made fun of their buddies because they've got a $40 kid's glove. This is a really sharp looking glove. Like, I would go pitch, if I got called to play pro baseball again today and I took this out in the field, no one would question it and I would do my job just fine. So the NXTs are really nice. They'll be a relatively quick break-in. They're soft, but it is good quality, pretty thick leather. And I'm glad that Rawlings has made a lower price point from the heart of the hide for serious travel players. All right, Rawlings Mark of a Pro. So this series, the Mark of a Pro, is exclusive to just gloves. And I would say this is a little step up. It's also a little step up in price. These are about $200. But basically what this glove is, it's similar to an R9 or an NXT, but they use scraps, like leftover pieces that are too small to cut into a full heart of the hide glove. And they use those heart of the hide scraps to make these Mark of a Pro gloves. And all that really means is the heart of the hide leather is the highest quality leather that Rawlings picks for gloves, aside from the Pro Preferreds. So it's super, super high quality leather. Like half of major leaguers use heart of the hides, half use Pro Preferreds of the Rawlings Pro players. So basically you're getting pro quality leather in a youth travel player's glove, which is awesome. And having played catch with these and have had this glove through the winter, it's just a really nice glove. It's well made. It's going to break in easy still, but it's all leather through the fingers, through the hand stall. Like the entire glove is all leather, really thick laces that are going to last a long time, and some really attractive colorways. So the Mark of the Pro series, I'd say it's a little step up from the NXT in the price. We'll show you that as well. The NXT is about 170. These are about 200. But these are, especially if you get these on sale, because these do go on sale from Just Gloves sometimes, get them for 150 bucks. It's a deal. So these are really solid gloves. The Mark of the Pro is about as good as it comes in like the travel high school category before you get to Heart of the Hide. All right, let's talk about Rawlings Heart of the Hide gloves. So these retail for about $329. And what Heart of the Hide means is if Rawlings gets, 10 leather hides sent to their factory, they're sorting them and they're picking the one or two very best hides to go in Heart of the Hide gloves. So they're the premium leather, but they're the top pick of the premium leather that they get. So the top like 5 or 10%, it becomes a Heart of the Hide glove. Now in years past, that meant that these were extremely stiff gloves that took a lot of break-in time. And that is still true on some Heart of the Hide models, but not others. Let me explain. So Rawlings came out with the R2G models of Heart of the Hide a couple years ago, which were more like game ready. They were done, a lot of factory softening is done to the glove so that when you get it, this one's brand new, it's relatively easy to squeeze. It's just as easy to squeeze as any of the cheaper models of gloves that I've shown you today. So there's a pro and a con with that. So the Rawlings R models, so anything that says Pro R205 or Pro R303, anything with an R2G with the R in the model number is a softer Heart of the Hide. So you need to know that. So if you want a really stiff Heart of the Hide that's going to take a couple months to break in, that's absolutely not going to be game ready within the first at least 3 weeks, then you want the non-R versions of the Heart of the Hide. That's important. Those you're going to have to really spend a lot of time breaking them in, but with that break-in, you'll get molding to your hand. It will hold a custom shape for years, and that's what you get for a stiff leather glove. If you don't want that, then you want an R2G or a R model Rawlings glove. This is a youth Heart of the Hide, same thing. Very easy to squeeze right out of the wrapper. This is a limited edition series, the Rawlings Corn Dog, which I'm obsessed with. This one, I played catch with a couple times. Very easy to squeeze right now. And this is a outfield model. So you can see I've had this for about a half a season, and it's very floppy, ready to go, but it's not gonna hold a very custom shape to my hand because the leather is softer. Now, all that being said, Heart of the Hides are very luxurious gloves. The lining on the inside is very soft. The leather itself is very soft and very thick. The laces are super thick and amazing. The stitching, like, this is just a really handsome glove. Rawlings Heart of the Hides are a big step up, and they're very durable. Like, if you take care of it, it's 5 to 10 years that glove will last. And in general, you do get what you pay for. And I would say that, yes, for a kid 13 and up, a Heart of the Hide is worth it. If they're really serious about baseball and they're going to use that glove for a number of years, it's a good investment. It really is. Now, the nice thing today in 2026 and beyond is Rawlings does so many unique colorways and limited editions, and they go on sale a lot. So you can if you're a good patient shopper, you can very easily score a Heart of the Hide for $200 on sale rather than the $329 price point, the retail price. And that's a great deal. It's a really good deal on a glove that's going to last your kid or you many, many years and just be a really luxurious, like, highly worth it purchase. About 50% of the Rawlings Pro players wear Heart of the Hides, and the other 50% wear Pro Preferreds, which we'll get to. But it's a really good quality glove, and you really can't go wrong if you want to spend that much money on a baseball glove. All right, Rawlings Pro Preferred. So these retail for about $450 plus or minus, and this is basically Rawlings' most expensive model aside from the Rawlings Rev 1X, and it's about $120 more expensive than the Heart of the Hide. So it's really important to help understand the Pro Preferred in terms of what you get above the Heart of the Hide. Now, I do want to repeat that when you look at major leaguers who wear Rawlings gloves, about half of them wear Pro Preferreds and half of them wear Heart of the Hides. So as far as like the functional difference, there really isn't one. If there was one, everyone would use the more expensive Pro Preferred, but it's just a difference. The main difference between the Heart of the Hide and the Pro Preferred is that the Heart of the Hide uses steer hide and the Pro Preferred uses kip leather. Kip leather is just from a younger cow. So with Heart of the Hides, they slaughter them at about 18 months. And with Pro Preferreds, the kip leather is more like a year old or a little bit less than that. And so the leather is smoother grained and tighter grained, but functionally, there's not really a difference, which again is why half of major leaguers wear Heart of the Hides and half use Pro Preferreds. There's no functional difference. But the leather does feel a little more buttery smooth on a Pro Preferred. There are some like high-end little touches like this hand stitching right here and this hand stitching on the back, which I do think is pretty cool. I think it looks really nice. The lining is a sheepskin lining, so it's a softer, more sweat-wicking, natural leather lining on the inside compared to the deer tanned steer hide lining of the Heart of the Hide. And they're softer because of that sheepskin lining, and it just feels very luxurious. When you put your hand into a Pro Preferred, you're like, ooh, this thing feels like, you know, like the Ferrari of baseball gloves, which is kind of what it is, to be quite honest. So do you want to spend the extra money on the Pro Preferred? That's a choice that you have to make, but it is a very luxurious, nice glove. All right, and last on our list is the Rawlings Rev 1X. And this is a really unique, interesting glove, and I think it is important to talk about this one in terms of how it compares to the other high-end gloves like the Pro Preferred. So the Rev 1Xs, they're close to $500. They're mid 400s, sometimes like 480. And the Pro Preferreds are also in that same range, like 430, 450, depending on the model. But the Rawlings Rev 1X is really interesting. It doesn't have any stitching here at the bottom. It doesn't have stitching at the top, which I think is nice because it does seem like that's kind of useless, to be quite honest. But they've eliminated that. It has a all rubber back. So this rubber back actually kind of adds like a spring form, like the glove really does. When you squeeze it, it kind of springs back to shape. It has steer hide, so basically like Heart of the Hide leather on the palm. On the inside, it's really luxe. It feels great. I think this is also basically the same leather interior as the Heart of the Hide. It has a really nice hand stall. And the other thing that's different about this glove compared to, say, the Pro Preferred is the back. On the Pro Preferred, it has the leather lacing holding the back in place. And here you have this elastic band that kind of just adjusts to your hand. So no matter how big your hand is, it'll kind of just like snugly hold your hand in place. Whereas this one, you have to adjust it if you want to make it tighter. So are those details important? Not really. If you buy a Rev 1X, you're buying it because it looks cool, which it does. I really like this glove personally. Like I play softball with this one. It's got a great deep pocket. This is a 12 3/4. I like this colorway. But you have to like be a baseball non-traditionalist, basically. Like this is not normal for a glove, right? This looks very futuristic, and that's what they were going for. And these come in some very wacky colors and graphic design. So if that's your vibe, if you're a style person, these can be really awesome. The one thing that's cool about the Rev 1Xs is they go on heavy sale quite a lot. So this one I actually purchased, and I bought this for $225 because I just wanted to have one in my collection. And this was a $479 glove retail. So I got this glove like $200+ off, which is a heck of a deal for a really high quality glove. So the Rev 1X is very style forward, very futuristic. It's still highly functional. It's a really well-made glove in my opinion. The rubber back seems very durable, and the leather on the palm and the interior is excellent leather. So as far as the Rev 1X, it's for some people and not for others. It's kind of like a piece of art, you know, like a controversial kind of like abstract piece of art. Some people really like it. Some people are like, that's not art. This is not a traditional baseball glove. It is a very cool functional baseball glove, but it's either right for you or it's not. But overall, I really like my Rev 1X. I'm going to keep using it in games quite a bit. But at this price point, this is a glove for a pretty serious ball player. All right, youth baseball recommendations. For ages 7 and below, kids with really tiny hands who don't have a lot of squeezing power, none of these gloves are going to be super appropriate for that age group. You're going to want to find something really soft that they can squeeze. Just Gloves has a lot of different brands in that like $40 price point. Now, Rawlings does have some equivalent models at like the $20, $30, $40 price point, but you're only going to find those at big box stores, basically. Now, for kids 8 and above, these gloves would apply. For 8 and above, I would say the Pro-Lite is a really good one that'll last them a couple years. It's very soft, it'll break in easy, and they'll like it. It's a good-looking glove. Now, if you have a higher budget, I can't recommend the Gamer Contour enough. This is $150. That's not cheap, but this is built for youth hands. They come in really small sizes, and is an amazing little glove. It's just really well manufactured and shaped and engineered for a kid's hand. So this or the Pro-Lite are my recommendations for youth players. Now, for middle school age players in that travel age, the Sandlot is a great, really sharp looking glove. This is also a great dad glove pick. And then the R9s, the Mark of the Pros, and the NXTs are really good gloves, especially when you find them on sale. And I really encourage you to like stretch your budget as far as you can and wait for the right time. But finding any of these for like $40, $50 off when Just Gloves has a sale is an amazing deal. But the R9, the Mark of the Pro, and the NXT are all wonderful gloves that are very price and quality appropriate for 12, 13, 14-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 10-year-olds. They're really good gloves for that age group. And then for high schoolers, make them do some chores if it's out of your budget, but try to find them a heart of the hide, because these are really high quality gloves that will stand up to the higher ball speeds of high school baseball. I mean, a higher quality glove, if you have a cheap glove in high school, 90-mile-per-hour line drives, hard throws, laces are going to snap earlier, and the glove's going to break down faster. So you really do get what you pay for when it comes to gloves. So for high school players, I do recommend a heart of the hide or the NXT or the R9. The NXTs are awesome transitional gloves at a really good price, and the R9s are also exceptional gloves. They're just a little softer. For like a varsity player, this glove will probably wear out a little bit faster than the NXT or the heart of the hide, especially compared to the heart of the hide. But again, all three of these are excellent gloves for high school level players. Now, my recommendations for parents, if you're a mom or dad or grandpa or grandma and you want to play catch with your kid in the backyard a bunch, what should you get? I think the best value for your dollar is the Rawlings Sandlot, and basically just staying around the $100 to $150 price point. Rawlings R9s come in a lot of different colors and sizes and shapes. They make slow pitch softball sizes. They make all sorts of sizes for baseball. So the R9s are excellent gloves. They're about $150. You can often find them on sale for around $100. And the Sandlot series, again, this is a handsome glove. It is not a cheap glove. This will last you plenty of years playing catch with your kid. So I can't recommend the Sandlot or the R9s enough for playing catch with your kid in the backyard, helping them get better at the game they love. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And again, you can support my channel and my sponsor, justgloves.com, by clicking through the links in the description below, where you'll find links to all these different glove models and series from Just Gloves. They have tons of sales, and I really do recommend being strategic about when you buy a glove, because you can find an amazing deal from Just Gloves, get a heart of the hide or something really expensive and durable for a really, really good price, whether that's an R9 or an NXT or a heart of the hide or a Pro Preferred. They're always cycling through sales, so I recommend, kind of just staying up on it and finding a really great deal that fits your budget, because youth sports are very expensive. All right, so that's it. If you have any glove questions, leave in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you here in the next video.